The main thesis of what I've been saying is that there are success factors for every organisation. Some of those seem relatively straightforward, like some of the common issues for discussion, like leadership, having clear leadership which is able to articulate what the organisation is about, what it's for, what its purpose is. Then there are other things which are perhaps less obvious, like governance, which goes around it, which people tend to think is quite a boring subject, but actually covers a multitude of sins, ranging from whether there are the right HR and finance practices, whether there's a proper research and development function, whether performance and outcomes is measured properly. Then you have to add in, as one of the success factors, the sort of judgment of the people who are working in the organisation, how they apply their skills and knowledge. And then one of the things I think is sometimes underestimated is how important that drive for excellence is. So that's the main thesis. And then later in the talk, I discuss how these things can go wrong. And the different factors that can make it go wrong, and what the evidence is that shows that things are deteriorating. And I also point out that if the organisation is starting to deteriorate in certain ways, if it then experiences a big shock or a very large and complex issue that it has to cope with, that can then be catastrophic for the organisation. And I say a bit about how you can then go on to try and prevent the decline in your organisation and how you can safeguard the factors for success that I've just described. One of the issues that I think might be seen by some as controversial is that I think in the world of management generally, whether it's in policing or in other sectors, we've almost laid too much emphasis on the requirement for vision and innovation in our leaders at different levels in the organisation, and perhaps underestimated the importance of solid day-to-day management of systems. We've tended to be looking for people who we see as stars, who make a mark on the organisation, who are perhaps putting themselves forward as the future senior managers. And we've underestimated the importance of people who keep particular services going, day in, day out, who perhaps don't put themselves forward as great innovators, wouldn't see themselves as great innovators, but actually know the services, be they blue light services or other services, very, very well. And it's only when those people either choose to move on or retire that their value is suddenly understood, when in fact they are very much at the core of the organisation and part of the way in which we should value the different elements of the organisation. Now, I think some people may take the view more, well, actually, these are the sort of grunt people in the organisation, they're doing day-to-day stuff. They're not necessarily the people who are going to make the difference to the organisation. I'm basically trying to contest that and saying that we underestimate those people's importance to our success. Well, I've really enjoyed the first day of the conference, which I've just experienced. I myself, even though I came here as a speaker, I feel I've learnt a lot. I've found particularly interesting some of the issues about replaying scenarios and thinking through as many scenarios as you can about the things that can go wrong, even the ones that seem most ludicrous or unlikely. And I will take away some learning about that because the professor who was talking about that was talking about how you can work through those in a thinking way rather than necessarily having to spend thousands of pounds on some huge complex exercise. I will definitely take away that. But I will also take away some of the issues about learning and how we get people to learn and how we perhaps don't think through enough the different ways in which people learn, and particularly don't necessarily allow people enough opportunity to talk frankly about why they did things, why they didn't do things, and the importance of not confusing having proper accountability mechanisms with the opportunity for gaining learning, and how there are sometimes tensions between those things, particularly in the world of policing with the level of scrutiny there is on all police forces. So I think there's a lot of material that I personally will take away from this, and I hope that other people will too.